have contacted us. So Susan, Carl, and Dawn all let us know that they couldn't make it because it's on a different day than we normally have it. So is there a motion to excuse them?
Motion to excuse.
Can we don't have 4.
We will need to roll call because we do have one online.
Okay, all right. Brian, are you with us? Colton, are you with us?
Hello, everyone. I am here. Just couldn't make it in person.
Okay, so we have 4 people.
Is that Colton or what?
That was Colton.
Didn't say that he was not able to make one of the choices of the days.
Oh, okay. So now we have 4, so we can actually do business. Okay, so Brian also said that he couldn't make today. So Susan, Carl, Don, and Brian, is there a motion for excusing those 4 people?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Colton, are you in favor?
Yes, sorry, I had to find my mute button there.
I understand. Okay. Oh, you have to do what? You have to do a roll call? You actually have to call.
Yeah. It was a process.
Oh, okay. Okay, I don't see any guests, so I'm going to assume there's no guest business unless anybody walks in quickly. And does anybody need a minute to read the minutes? Okay, it sounds like everybody's read them. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the minutes?
I motion approved. That's
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
right.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, let's go right into our discussion items. Bayview Trail Plan. I hand it over to Jill and Sarah.
All right, thank you. I'm going to share my screen here. That might take just a second. She has made me the host. So here we go.
I think your computer mic is also on conjunction.
I will turn that off. I did choose to join in without, so I hope.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me? Good. Okay, so I am just going to share this. I don't know if you can see that yet. There we go. Perfect. So I had, oh, it looks like there's this one up on the screen here is probably still yours. I see that one. There we go. Great. So I want to bring you up to speed on the project that we have been working with the city of Marysville on for the Bayview Trail. I do have some materials here that I'm going to go over in the presentation, but also just as blowed up as the boards here as well. And this is really on a granular level of what different types of side paths look like and the development of this trail with our partnership with Marysville. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of history on the planning effort so far. This project started several years ago. And actually, even before that, the concept of it was brought to us by the city of Marysville from their previous director of saying, hey, we touch our city limit boundaries, let's partner in a trail. And so in 2019, the city of Lake Stevens and the city of Marysville memorialized their agreement in an ILA for the trail development. So city of Marysville was successful in obtaining some funding for the planning effort. And through that planning effort is also their consultants are designing our portion of the trail as well. So there's many, and I say design as in designing the trail plan down to the granular civil plan design, that it was something that will come later. But this is looking at it almost in the lens of how we did for the Trails Master Plan, where we looked at the alignments, we looked at property ownership, we looked at the possibilities of being able to build, and their consultants are leading the effort for that portion of this planning effort. So in 2021, they had the city of Lake Stevens participate in their consultant selection and selected a consultant that has a large, very deep understanding of this type of work and has done it regionally. It's McLeod Record, and they have produced a lot of the visuals that I'm going to show you today. So we started with the consultant work, and part of the first phase of that was the preferred alignment. So we took a aerial view of the entire corridor of how we thought it was going to. We already had the Trails Master Plan, so we gave them that information, and they came up with this these alignments. When we went out to public comment with those alignments, we heard back from the public of, what they liked about it, what they wanted to tweak or what they wanted to change. And that was a very high level, plan at that point. So in May of 22 to June of 22, we had a couple Maptionaires. I think some of you participated in that effort, some surveys online and some information. And then we took that public comment and kind of went the next step, said, okay, so if we're going to go along public right of way, then what does that cross section of that trail look like? Where are we going to provide separation, for those users where it's not against the roadway and it's just through that general kind of corridor of the power line trail? What is that? What do we need to achieve maximum usability for all the different users of the trail? So then we came up with preferred alignments, and we vetted all of the crossing elements. So because of the length of this trail, it's going to cross several arterials, and in one place for the city of Lake Stevens, it's going to cross Highway 204. So we had to look at what do those crossing treatments look like where we can keep people safe. So on the red board over here, there's street crossing designs, and that has different types of crossing, either with a flashing beacon. Those are good for some roadways, with lower traffic. But then are we looking at a signalized crossing with an island and, some of those busier areas that you might see on Highway 204? So from that, we also looked at the critical areas, because there are a considerable amount of critical areas in this trail alignment from 8th Street Southeast in Lake Stevens, all the way up to 64th Street Northeast in Marysville. So high level critical areas and LiDAR was done, topography surveys, and more information emerged from that effort to look at, accessibility and our steep slopes analysis. And so alternative places or alternative routes were presented at that time. Absolutely.
Jill,
Mhm.
what is a critical area? What's that mean?
Critical areas vary. They can be wetlands, steep slopes, they can be shorelines. There are different, there's areas where they would have additional requirements, and avoidance is our first. We try to avoid critical areas. In places where we can't avoid them, then we look at mitigation measures and is it realistic? So great question. And then also looking at ownership, what does this look like for acquisition? Because those things can take time, and they can take a lot of, input from the public. You have to do a lot of outreach and create a lot of opportunities. So with that plan, we moved forward to the most recent open house that we had. And we also did a Maptionaire that was open. And a Maptionaire is the interactive surveys where you show the alignment, and then people can make comments very specific to that particular property or that particular element or amenity, and they can make requests, so it really gives us a lot of really great information, because the people are at home or at work, at their leisure, so they can give us a lot more input than they could if they're just looking at it for the first time and they don't have the opportunity of looking at the entire thing. So through that public input and the open house, we heard one of our alignments for one of the critical area sites was not as cut and dry as we thought when we first looked at it at the top. And I'm going to go into detail in that in a little bit later, but I just wanted to let you know. And then now we're on to, okay, now we have some next steps. So when we take on a project like that, we look at our goals in our comp plan to see, is this a project even that the city of Lake Stevens has a desire to take on? Is there community buy-in? Is there a need? So as you are well aware, when we work on a comprehensive plan, we have different goals that we look at. And so I have put goal 5.1 up there because this particular trail connection offers a high quality, diversified park and recreation open space system that provides recreational and cultural opportunities for all ages and interest groups. And then 5.2 is to provide an interconnected system of high quality accessible trails and greenway corridors. This is a great example of why that goal is in there. 5.5 is to maximize park facilities by leveraging, sharing, and efficiently using resources. And this is another great example of a partnership with the city of Marysville that the city of Lake Stevens is really benefiting from. And also I will piggyback on there that some of this trail section and the north end has already been built. So that collaboration and using existing resources is also realized in that goal as well. And then of course, expanding active recreation facilities. So now I will dive into the alignments. The overview of the entire trail corridor is here, which obviously is huge and much detail. And so I will chop it up into smaller areas, but this is generally what you're looking at on the south end of this, or on the left side of your screen, you're looking at 8th Street Southeast in Lake Stevens. It comes up to the Lake Stevens Marysville dividing line in the center of the page, and then it goes north into Marysville to 64th Avenue Northeast, which is the road that Walmart's on. And that is also where their current alignment of the Bayview Trail terminates. So once this section is built, it will create a connection to the existing Bayview Trail that has already made connection to the Centennial Trail. So we would be able to have connectivity all the way from the Centennial Trail in our own jurisdiction, and then a loop, where they could go up through Marysville and catch it up there too as well. So some of the constraints that we found through our public input was a neighborhood, it's Black Rock Hills, and that is in the north end of the city. You can see Lending Parkway at the bottom. And then there is a significant ravine that goes down to Kings Creek. You'll see just to the left of the arrow. And so when we looked at this from the aerial, it made sense that we would take this corridor up, cross over Kings Creek, and then catch the alignment from the utility corridor through the Black Rock Hills neighborhood to 83rd, where there's already an existing side path in place adjacent to the Crosswater neighborhood. But through our public input, their neighborhood reached out to us and said, we are a private neighborhood. We don't have public roads. So when you look at it from the aerial and you say, this is a public road, that already existing infrastructure, great, we can partner with this. We're looking at that now. And obviously there needs to be a lot of work and some communication with that neighborhood, and to look at, what is the future of that alignment look. The reason we had chosen that alignment was based on the topography, and the topography shown here shows some different alignments. And so you can see at the bottom of the screen, there was alignment 4 that is closer to Highway 9, and then it catches the east side of the Crosswater neighborhood, and then it curves back around to catch that existing side trail at 83rd. through there, there's a lot of different properties that, different ownership, there'd be a lot of acquisition, investigation to be done. Then there's the alignment 3, where you would take from the existing power line corridor and you would branch off before you crossed Kings Creek, and then find alignment number 2 across the valley and then hook up there. The reason that we didn't go on the existing right of way, which is just south of the 83rd alignment, which is going to be right, just catch it right here and go straight across. And I'll do that for the folks maybe watching at home. The reason that this alignment didn't make sense is because there's a significant drop. It's a significant ravine. And when they did the specs for the bridge that would be needed for that particular alignment, it's 1,200 feet long and it's 400 feet above the ground. So that's really not a buildable option. So when we got to this area, it just presented with no really clear, easy solution. And so when we met back with the city of Marysville and our consultants, we have agreed that this portion of it will need a significant amount of research, and that is outside of the scope of their planning effort at this time. So what we are suggesting at this point is to move forward with presenting those alternatives, so that at the time that that section is built, and this is the timeline down below of the time, it will be built in the last phase. So at that time, we can really dive into the alternatives and do a complete alternative analysis and get good data on how we would move forward with that section, knowing that we need to make a connection in order to make this a whole. And this particular plan, once it's complete, we will be able to apply for grants jointly for these larger kind of, full infrastructure grants. So that is the very brief rundown of all of the efforts that we've made so far, and wanted to give you a status update on it, brief you on how we've gotten to this point, and then the next steps on the project are going to be to solidify the plan. So we would finalize the plan, and the plan being the planning effort, not the civil design plans where we're actually going to construction, but we would finalize the plan and then seek funding opportunities. And we know based on, I did go over the budget really, I didn't go over the budget. Based on the amount and the budgetary, this is going to be a long-term planning effort, and definitely something that we can shoot for, but it's not something that's going to be executed, in the next year. Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
that phase 3 amount of money there? Is that based on, is it annualized through, when they're going to be complete, or could that go way up? Or has it been built in?
I will tell you on phase 3 specifically, there are so many variables.
That's
on
what I was
that.
going to say.
Because we don't have the alignment nailed down. We don't know what acquisition looks like. We don't know what, obviously a bridge is a different conversation of that. And
So it's just
say
an
that
estimate.
it's an estimate. It's an engineer's estimate based on projects that have been constructed in the same like fashion.
Mhm.
But no, that you're absolutely right. It's dependent on today's dollar, and
Right.
we don't know what the future brings.
And then I have some other questions about, now, does Marysville have the same policies as this trail as Lake Stevens done? Are they like this? Or are they like, well, we want to do this and we want to do this, and it's kind of,
I think there's a general concept of what pedestrian or multimodal, non-motorized trails look
Mhm.
like. And so there's definitely not been any disagreements or any discrepancies in what they're envisioning for their trail side and what we're envisioning for our trail
so
side.
it's going to be pretty consistent all the way through.
Correct.
Both. And then as far as the funding goes, are you going to split it in half, or does one city have more of a trail than the other? Or
When it comes to the actual construction of the trail, each jurisdiction will construct their own sections of the trail. Yeah. So Marysville will be on Marysville's dime, and Lake Stevens will be on Lake Stevens' dime.
Okay.
Marysville, I did want to point out too, in the center of the screen, right here, there's a trailhead And the city of Marysville is going to be putting that trailhead and that's in their jurisdiction. And that will have, it'll be, good size and it'll have amenities there for pedestrians and bikers to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is there a estimated time frame? Is there a goal that we're working towards for when we want to have it completed by?
There, and not at this time. A lot is depending on, this planning effort is.
We're still
about
too high
2 years
level.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's not wrapping up, immediately. So I don't know when the plan would be done. And then we'd have to look at all of the available grants that we could apply for and then the city budget of what
What are we,
can be done.
maybe 15 years, something like that? Just really hard to say.
Really hard to say.
Okay.
Mhm. I know, you could look at it and you plan it and then you say, it's just looks incredible and I want it,
I want it done.
right now, but.
Marlene, do you have any questions? Colton, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. I'm wondering if, so Jill brought a lot of visuals and I'm wondering if we might take a minute to go look at those visuals and see if it makes some more questions pop up or not. Is that, or do you want us to see it later or
It's, you're.
what do
welcome
you
to take
guys
a look
want?
at
Do you
it.
want to,
I'll,
do you want
when I
to,
looked at them, I'll look at them again, but I looked at.
why don't we just take like a couple minutes and go look at it again?
them.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Colton, we'll be right back.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh.
Are you on the alignments? And Colton, what they're looking at is the alignment that you see in front of you right now, kind of chopped up into smaller segments. So there's more detail provided, and I'm happy to send those over to you in a PDF.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if you could. Thank you.
Yeah. There's also some images on what off-street trails and on-street trails and then crossing designs that I can also shoot over to you as well.
Wonderful.
Right. So the question was what the name of the trail would be. And, we've talked about this just kind of at a high level. There is some regional recognition of the Bayview Trail. And we also have bay views from our trail. And so there is a thought that crossed our minds to just continue with the Bayview Trail.
Historical of the Bayview Trail.
I would have to get with the city of Marysville to find out,
Okay.
more specifics about it. I know that the Bayview Trail has been in existence for, when I lived there, I went on it quite a bit. So I know that that's, and it is the connection to the Centennial Trail has already been labeled as the Bayview Connector.
Okay.
So, so there is some thought of, it is just north of the Marysville Getchell High. So if you are on Getchell Road and you leave the roundabout from Highway 9 and you're going west, the very first road that you would take a right down there, they have their Bayview Trail runs parallel to 84th for just a short time, and then it goes into an undeveloped area. That's where the connection is. It's just north of there.
Years ago, I did ride bikes.
Yeah.
That way.
So if you were on the Centennial Trail, you might be familiar with, if you're northbound, you cross over Getchell Road, and then there's a large freeway overpass that you go under. It's in that vicinity. Yeah.
Are there any other questions, comments? I just wanted to put a plug in for art. That if we can have art installation somewhere, or we're thinking about art installation as we go along.
Mhm.
Just want to put that out there.
Yes, and I know that the city is definitely looks at opportunities in this particular alignment. Most of it is not our property. We would be getting easements across it,
Oh.
and some of it underneath the power lines is,
Yeah.
it has to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
consistent with that use. And
Oh, okay. So we're.
but I hear you. Yes, we,
Well, if there's
thank you
opportunity.
for, no, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Great job, Jill. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are ready for the parks update.
Chair did not want to let me go. Okay. So I'm sure that you have seen the art tower, and it has been installed up at North Cove Park, just in front of the city admin building by City Hall. The crew is working really hard on the landscaping and getting the site finalized. And so we are hosting a ribbon cutting. It'd be great if the park board could come down for that. That's on July 20th. It's at 1:00. And yeah, it turned out really nice. So we're real happy to have it. Another point of interest is the life rings at all of our water access sites. That was something that Sarah had suggested as soon as she came on to the city. And so they're all going to be installed, if they haven't already, at all of our water access sites. And those are emergency rings to throw in for swimmers.
Perfect.
And our capital projects, Sunset Beach, we're really excited about that, is they're going to be breaking ground, starting the construction project on July 31st. So you'll see some construction fencing come up. The site will be closed for the duration of the construction project. There's no way to phase it to open it up to the public. They're going to develop the entire site. And it is consistent with the plans that you have reviewed at several different occasions. And so we're excited to see it unfold and progress there. We are also, as you know, replacing the dock as part of that project. And we have a bid opening next week to select the contractor for that. So the Lake Stevens Farmers Market, you may or may not be aware that it returned on June 7th. It's going to continue on Wednesdays at North Cove Park until the end of August, with the exception of the Aquafest week. The site down here gets pretty busy, so they're going to take a week off. Music in the Park at the market will be this coming Wednesday, will be their first date. And They are not holding it every week. They have selected several weeks that they're going to do so for their updated schedule. Go ahead, Roger.
What's the lineup for some of the shows, do you know?
We don't know because the Arts and Parks Foundation is putting that event on and they haven't sent us a list of their artists yet.
They did just make an announcement about who those
Oh.
bands are. So I believe you can find it on either their website or social media page. And I believe that we will be pushing it out as a city on Facebook if we haven't already.
Thank you. Aquafest will return on the 28th in downtown. And I know that you are familiar with what the site looks like when Aquafest comes. So they'll take up most of the downtown areas and they have a great lineup this year. And they have they are putting I know they put a lot of effort into it. It should be a really great event. Movies in the Park will be on August 4th at Lundin Park. August 4th is a partnership with the Lake Stevens Film Festival. So they are going to be showing Marcel the Shell with the Shoes On. And they'll also have some fun trivia and some fun interaction with the crowd ahead of time. So that's August 4th at Lundin Park. August 18th, movie in the park will be Hook, and it'll be at Frontier Heights Park. And that neighborhood has partnered with the city to provide some fun, interactive things for the moviegoers to do before that event as well. So we're thankful to be activating that space. And then Theater in the Park will be on August 6th and 13th at Eagle Ridge Park. And that
Jill,
concludes my
Do you know what time Music in the Park starts?
music in the park, I believe starts at, is it 6?
I can look it up, but it's again, not our.
Yeah, it's not
event.
your event, so you don't.
Yeah, I
know.
can see if I can find that for you before the end of the meeting.
And Movies in the Park, is that just a at dusk thing?
At dusk, yep. As soon as we can get visibility of the screen. But the events do start a bit before that. So if you are visiting the park to see it, there'll be stuff for you to do while you're waiting for the sun to go down.
Like around 7 or so? Or
I think so. It depends on the, I can get that info for you though.
yeah, just curious.
And those are, of course, free events. So
Yes.
invite and spread the word.
Are there any other questions or comments on Jill's report? Colton? Any?
None for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Jill.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. Now we can go on to board reports. Colton, do you have anything to report?
Not that I can come up with. Thanks for asking.
Okay, Marlene? Roger?
Not at this time.
I have two things that I'm curious about. One, there are some trees right out here over by the entrance sign that are red. And I was wondering, are they supposed to be? They look like they're already autumn. And I was like, do they just need water? Or the leaves?
I'm going to say they're supposed to be that color, but I would have to confirm.
Yeah,
Just-
I'm just curious because,
It's just a red leaf maple.
yeah. And then, does the Parks Department have anything to do with the roundabouts on Lundin Parkway? Okay. And who like to see them trimmed up and cleaned up? So who would I say that to?
The Public Works Department does have a new citizen reporting program that allows you to very easily take a photo of an item or drop it on a map and then put in a service request. What then happens is it creates a direct ticket. Parks will shortly be on this program as well. And then you will get a response as to what their decision is. So they'll either tell you it's part of our normal maintenance, it's upcoming, we're going to respond and do it now, or that's not up to our standards, we're going to leave it as be. And that way we can have that communication chain and
Oh,
track it
that's
all.
Wonderful.
Yes, or you can
And-
get to it from our city website.
Okay, so it's already live for Public Works.
Correct.
Oh,
I've used
nice.
it.
Okay.
The only problem is it kicked me off of it like 2 times. And I don't know why, it just kind of it just disappeared. I finally got through and it did work, but I was kind of disappointed that it kicked off to do all that typing and stuff and all of a sudden it disappears on you. So,
I think there were a couple bugs that have been reported to the company they've been working on.
okay.
Okay. All right. So given those are all the reports, does anybody have any upcoming agenda items they'd like to see? Agenda items, anything you want us to discuss at our next meeting? I
don't
do.
know.
What's the plan to fill our remaining open position? Right, don't we have one open position because Marie?
On the board, I believe we were going to follow up, and I apologize that perhaps we did not since last meeting about, do they automatically advertise that and where they're at?
I will follow up on that. Yeah, and find out.
Thanks.
You bet.
Okay, well, given that, I am adjourning the meeting at 6:40. Oh, yeah, I have to have a motion, don't I? Is there a motion to adjourn?
All motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.